Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. I have a message that I'm going to be reading out for you, and it reads like this. To Brother Nashi and to the whole of Africa that is listening, I don't even know where to start because now I even have difficulties thinking, and when I overthink, it becomes very difficult for me to breathe properly. I'm even afraid to go to the hospital because I was told that I am not supposed to get like proper medical attention, because if I do that, I can end up losing my mind because the tokology does not want me to go to the doctors. I feel as if I am constantly carrying dead weight on my back. I am going to ask you to keep my name anonymous because I am a well-known man in the neighborhood where I am staying. If you see me today, you would see a rude man. I stay in a mansion in Waterfall Estate. I drive the latest German machines, not mentioning the exact type of a car that I am driving. And as for my bank balance, it has more zeros than I ever thought was possible. But I'm telling you, Mukoma, this money, it is burning me. I now say that there are two hell that you can go through. The first hell after you have done Ugutwala rituals is the hell that you experience here on earth before you die. Then when you go either to paradise, to heaven, when they send you to the place where you will burn forever, that is the second hell. So I am already in hell. The money that I have, it is useless. To other people that have not been in this lifestyle, you think that we do not want you to become as rich as we are, but it is useless. This money that I have, it does not have that peace that a man usually gets when he is eating from his own sweat. When I see the gardeners that come to do my yard, I feel as if we can exchange places for only one day so that I can just become a gardener who earn low salary, but you can enjoy that money. Someone that is working in the construction industry, that person, you will be mixing cement throughout the day, carrying heavy stuff, sweating and working very hard. I think that person can enjoy more money. I've seen those guys in the taverns dancing even though they are broke, but it is far much better. From where I am standing right now, I have reached the top of the mountain, and when I look back, I feel as if to go back where I came from, it is far much better than where I am right now. Every cent that I am spending, it feels so terrible, as if I am drinking my mother's blood over and over again, like what I did when I did these rituals. It started back, it was in 2018. Back then, I was a nobody. I was a general worker at a mine, earning peanuts, like real life peanuts. The money that I was getting, it was nothing. You could do nothing with the money that I was working for. I would work from January to December, not even enjoying my own money, because I thought that when you have become rich using Ugutwala, you will enjoy life. But when I look back, I think that I had a good life. I was employed. There are many millions of South Africans that are unemployed, that are unable to get a job. But yet, because of what I was thinking was far much better when I would have done Ugutwala, it made me to be ungrateful of the company that I was working for. My whole family was looking at me since I was the breadwinner. My elderly mother back home in KZN and my two beautiful kids. I was living in a shack in Diepsloot. When it rained, you could not sleep. Have you ever stayed in a house whereby the roof is leaking when it is raining? You spend the whole night moving buckets from point A to point B so that the bucket can catch the water that is leaking into your house. I used to see the Senton boys coming to the location in their big SUVs, popping bottles of champagne that can cost more than your monthly salary. With that, it's obvious that you are going to be filled with the spirit of envy and hatred. I allowed the spirit of envy and hatred, and it started to grow in me like a cancer. Why? Because there was this other woman who had a very beautiful daughter. This woman's daughter, she was studying at UJ. This woman, she was so beautiful, and she had feelings for me. She would come, we could talk, we even kissed. Before we could sleep with each other, she told me that she was not yet ready because she had never slept with a man before. She was still a virgin and she was still thinking about it. When she told me that she was still a virgin, she got me excited, and I was even thinking of taking her as my wife again. But oh my God, when she met a boy that was from Senton, she quickly opened her legs for that guy, but yet she had been refusing to sleep with me. So this made me to hate any person that was rich. Whenever I would see that guy coming to collect this girl, it really hurt me. And this hatred started to grow in me as if it was a cancer. I started asking myself, why not me? Why this girl that had told me that she had a crush on me, she loved me, why did she end up opening her legs for a guy that ended up dumping her? Was it because of money? And I would look at my wife, my poor wife, and I would look at my kids. I would be like, why must my kids eat pap and tea whilst others are living like kings? That was when I met an old friend of mine, Sipho. Sipho was always having money. He always wore original gold chains, but no one knew where he worked. One night, after we drank beer together, he looked at me and he said, Mujita, life isn't found through hard work. After I had complained, telling him that I was thinking of starting a company, maybe I can end up getting a tender at the mine. He then said to me, life is found through bravery. If you want to escape this hole, you have to cross the border. And I said, cross the border to go where? We have everything that we want here in South Africa. Hence, you see, all Africans, they come to South Africa. Why do you say I have to cross the border? I don't want to go and work in another country to be a foreigner. He laughed at me and he said, you are still thinking really small. You need to cross the border and go somewhere where you are going to be cleansed of this bad luck, where you are going to connect with your ancestors so that you can be able to start making money. So then off we went to Mozambique. We left. It was on a Thursday night. We drove out of Joburg through Mpumalanga and we hit the Libombo border into Mozambique. My heart, it was thumping against my ribs because I had never thought of leaving South African borders before, but Sipho just kept telling me, and he was, think about the money that you are going to be getting, think of all the women that you're going to be sleeping with. We drove into Mozambique, deep into the rural part of Mozambique, past the big cities, and then we went to this other village. When we arrived in that village, we had to sleep at this other house because at the homestead where we were going to receive our help, we were not allowed to arrive at that homestead when it was dark. So you can only arrive at that homestead when the sun would have not yet gotten hot. So it was like early morning, we will go to that homestead, but it was not even far. He showed it to me. Maybe it was about 20 kilometers from where we were. And he said it is too dark. That man, he does not allow people to enter into his compound when it is dark or after 12 p.m. So the next morning we prepared. We arrived at a homestead at the foot of a mountain, and there were some people that were there that were waiting. So you write your name, the secretary will come and speak with you, and you write your name. So my friend, his name was already in this other big book that was there, and he wrote his name again, and I had to write my name as someone that was new. We waited in the queue whilst we were sitting in another mud hut that had been made, but it was a big one. where there were people that were also there to do rituals. Some had their children that were mad. Some they just wanted to bring back their lost lovers. So when we entered into the mud hut, there was an old man that was sitting there. This man, I swear to you, he looked like he was 100 years old, but he was still very active. Later on, I was told that this man, he uses the blood of little kids. Those are the ones that give him life. So Sipho spoke through the translator because he knew and understood Shangan. They were talking in that language and I was just listening. So that old man, he spoke Portuguese as well as Shangan. At first, the old man refused to help me, but after Sipho had knelt down and said that, please, the way that you assisted me when I came here the first time, please help me. And then he said, for you, I'm going to help you. But this one, I see that his heart is not as strong as you are. I guess that he was correct. He looked at me dead in the eye and he said, you want money? The money is there, but you know that this money that I'm going to be giving to you, it does not eat paper. It eats blood. Are you willing to give the blood of your mother? And then I started refusing and he was like to Sipho, I told you so. This man has a weak heart. Get out of my shrine. And then Sipho looked at me and he said, man, we wasted so much time coming to Mozambique. Just do this. Because of peer pressure, and I was desperate since we had used his vehicle to go to Mozambique, I told him that I will do anything. I didn't realize that I was signing a contract with the grave. On the third night, I was taken to a freezing river. This was done at midnight. I was stripped naked and I was told to submerge myself into the river 7 times. The old man gave me something that is called Nyoka yemali, which was a snake that was going to be giving me money. So if it was a real snake, no ways, I was not going to touch it, guys. It was not a physical snake when it was given to me. It was just something that was like a small red tinted bottle, and inside there was something that was green in there. And I was told that this spirit, it needed a warm place. I had to keep it underneath my bed, to put a blanket underneath, and then to cover it with a blanket. But then I was told that my mother was going to die. And after each and every 3 years, I had to constantly be making sacrifices. So after that ritual had ended, I was shaking because I was feeling so much cold. And then there was a violent wind that came and I felt so much cold like I had never felt before. So we returned back to the old man's house because I had entered into the river when it was cold. I slept close to the fire throughout the night. Then the next morning, Sipho wanted us to return back to Joburg, but I was really cold and I had caught a flu. So then that man cured me from the flu that I had gotten. And then we drove back to Joburg. I was just quiet throughout the journey because I had been told that my mother was going to die the way that my mom was going to die. It felt somehow, it did not feel good anymore. Even though I knew that I was about to make a lot of money, but thinking that my mom was going to die, it was so painful. My mother, after she had died, I was not even allowed to go to her funeral, so my mother was buried when I was not around. Within 1 week, things started changing. I hit the lotto for a substantial amount. Then I started a small construction company. It was a side hustle. Then I bought those tipper trucks, but the rigid ones. And then I started to get massive government contracts. Money started coming and I moved out of Diepsloot and I bought the mansion. But the first payment came early. Sipho, the friend who took me there, he started to get so sick. He got so sick and he told me that he was going to die within 2 months. And I said, oh, Sipho, so what are you going to do now that you are going to die? You didn't tell me that you were going to die so soon. He said he also did not know that this was what was going to happen to him. And I asked him, so what is the plan? He said that he had already spoken with the Sangoma's cousin who was here in Joburg, and he had been told to look for a slave queen. We had to look for a slave queen, someone that loved money, but who had never made love to a man before. It was not an easy thing. We would drive around schools. Forgive me, South Africa, for saying this, but we were driving around high schools looking for girls between grade 11, grade 12. And then, as if by chance, Sipho found this other girl. She went to a technical college, and then when she spoke with Sipho about their relationship, she was like, I am in love with you. I'm so happy that I have found a man that has so much money. But one thing about me, because of our church, I won't be allowed to sleep with you until we would have gotten married. She went to a Jehovah's Witness church, and somehow she was willing to date this guy who was not going to the same church as she was going to. Sipho called me one night after they had a small dinner date, and she was like, I have made it. I'm not going to die. So he did not tell me that this girl was the one that was going to die, and she will die in a very horrific way. This girl, if I had known that she was going to die in a car accident and the car will burst into flames, I was going to refuse my brother. But the accident happened, and Sipho was able to buy the number of years that this girl was supposed to live. Brother Nashi, let me tell you the truth. When I moved into this Waterfall mansion, I thought that I had made it. Bought a bed that cost me 80k, but I have not slept on it in 3 years. You see, the money snake that I brought with me from Mozambique, it does not like soft things. Every night around 2 a.m., there are times when my room turns icy cold. And even if I do not want to sleep in this bedroom, sometimes I can be bitten by this snake. Like I told you that it was not a snake at first, but after my mom died, I started to see a little green snake looking at me, either from underneath the bed in the wardrobe. And I was told that this snake was my tokoloshi. If I try to sleep on the bed, this snake, it will come and then it will start to bite me until I would have slept on the floor. So I just put a thin, tiny reed mat, and that is where I just sleep. Sometimes I just sleep even on the couch, and then it is a little bit better. That old man in Mozambique told me that each and every 3 years I am supposed to be sacrificing something, sacrifice one of my girlfriends or even my kids. In 2021, my business started to suffer quite a lot. My contracts were being cancelled. I went to the bottle underneath my bed, and then it spoke with me for the first time. And I wanted my sister's firstborn, my favorite nephew, whom I'll call Thabo. This was the one that was supposed to be sacrificed by me because this was what was wanted by the bottle. I fought it. I prayed. I even tried to go to a popular prophet to undo the ritual. But the moment that I stepped into the church, I heard a voice that said to me, if you try to get prayed for, you are going to see what I'm going to do to you and to your business. I felt as if my heart was being squeezed by someone. I felt like I was about to collapse. Then I ran out and I went to my car. I started vomiting something that was black. That night, I dreamt of the old man from Mozambique. He was so angry at me, and he said, accept, accept. If you do not accept, you are going to be eating from the beans. You'll become a madman. 2 weeks later, Thabo, a healthy 10-year-old boy, went to sleep and never woke up again. And it was said that it was sudden infant death syndrome. Even though he was a big boy, at the funeral, I had to carry and to touch his coffin. This was the ending of the ritual. I looked at my sister when she was crying and I felt so bad, and I was told that I had to buy an expensive car for my sister, and that one I did. Money started returning back to me, but my life is not so good. I now stay alone because the rituals, it is very difficult to stay permanently with a woman because she will start to notice that there are some things that are so wrong in your life. We are in 2026 right now. This is the third year cycle is coming up again in few months. The snake wants me to sacrifice. It does not want a nephew. It has been showing me images of my own daughter. I am sitting in this big empty house, and this money that I have, it does not even make sense at all for this year. If I do not want to run mad, I am going to be sacrificing my own daughter. Your dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear brother. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world. Let us talk with him in the comment section. Yo.